Okay, great. Well, welcome everyone. I think that we'll have additional folks trickling in, but we want to honor your time and are so grateful that you are here and chose to spend this hour of your day with us. So first, perhaps we have so many folks in such little time that perhaps we can use chat to just do a brief introduction. So if you wouldn't mind putting your organization in chat and then just a sentence on why you chose to join us today. Why is this hour on this topic important to you today? So just use the chat and a little introduction. And if you're just joining us, you can select an channel at the bottom of the screen under interpretation, English or Spanish. Great, welcome Mariana. Want to help empower the Latinx community. So if you're just joining, we're just using chat to do a little introduction, our organization, and a sentence on why you're here today. Why is this important to you? To better serve our community, to share our experience, believe in the power of this work. Wonderful. And keep those coming. Share with us a sentence on why you're here today and your organization and chat. And meanwhile, I'll just start to provide a little bit of context for our session today. So my name is Megan. It's wonderful to see everyone. And we're here today specifically to learn about this incredible opportunity that we've been working towards and is now upon us to make transformational leadership accessible to Spanish speakers in our communities, in the Bay Area, and everywhere. And this matters so much in our world today. And I know we all here understand this. As we're reflecting individually and as organizations and as a philanthropy community, really reflecting deeply on how do we walk our talk of equity? How do we partner more deeply and collaboratively with community and to fund projects that can truly unleash both transformational leadership in the service of sustainable systems change in our communities, the kind of change that we know is needed to truly create sustainable and equitable change. I am the founder of Impact Launch, and I've been working with these tools called Radical Transformational Leadership for over a decade. We started 10 years ago with 30 of our closest friends and colleagues in a conference room at United Way, Santa Cruz County. And we've grown this work to over 1,500 alumni across the Bay Area. For the last 7 years, we've been building our own capacity to provide this program with translated materials and simultaneous translation in Spanish. And we're ready today to go to the next level. That's why we're here. We're ready for an all Spanish cohort. We're ready to train facilitators that speak Spanish that can be empowered to host that entire cohort. We want this cohort to be of, by, and for our Spanish-speaking communities. And we really want to go to scale, again, across the Bay Area and beyond. So welcome, everyone. Thanks for all the introductions in chat. It is wonderful to see everyone here. And so just continuing on with a bit more context as we're coming in and joining. We know that there are many leadership programs in the Bay Area and beyond, but we also know that there's some things missing from those programs that we want to ensure are in place in this one. One is that, frankly, most of them are not available in Spanish, whether it's simultaneously or fully in Spanish. And we know that they don't often focus on the critical combination of personal transformation, systems change, and the design, the architecture of projects to create equity and sustainable change. So we want to offer radical transformational leadership with the full cultural relevance and accessibility that only an all Spanish cohort could provide. And so through that offering, we are aiming to lift up and unleash the authentic voice and the incredible leadership capacity of our Spanish-speaking community. And through this, the change that we all are so deeply desiring and looking towards can be realized. And frankly, without offering this work in Spanish, it can't. This is the only way that we can truly be equitable and be in alignment with that. So today we're going to hear from a little bit more about the program itself. You may or may not be familiar with it already. I know we have alumni in the house today. Thank you for joining us. You'll also hear from some of our alumni and our funders and colleagues that have been a part of this work to hear their perspective. And you'll be able to hear more about what's needed right now and the role that you each can play in helping to move this forward. And we'll definitely have an opportunity to ask questions and dig in more deeply. So what if, through offering an all-Spanish cohort and really scaling this work in Spanish, what if we can do that and then truly realize our goals for equity and for sustainable change in our communities? Again, we are only equitable if we're offering this work to everyone. So we are in it. Let's do this together. I'm going to share a really brief video that explains a bit more about the programs, just a couple of minutes, and then we'll dive in even more deeply. Let me share my screen here.
The Leadership for Equity and Opportunity Training is a platform for people who care about social change to explore how they would manifest their full potential in action and be able to shift the systems and norms that give rise to the problems we see today.
So they're really learning three main things. How do you create change from being the change? What motivates you? And then we focus on designing and being an architecture of social change. What's missing and how do we need to design our projects differently to create that? And then we focus on leading change. So what does it take to know what needs to be done and then actually lead yourself and others into doing that?
Leadership for Equity and Opportunity has changed the way I look at myself, specifically knowing that I have the leadership qualities, the knowledge, the skills, and the voice to make impact in communities.
The Leadership Equity Opportunity Program has really made it possible for me to stand in my own power and to really feel centered within myself.
What I've been able to do is tap into what I value and what the people I'm working with value as well, to use that to find commonality, to find that sort of common ground. If we can find that thing that unites us, we move forward a lot faster.
Leo brings leaders from all levels and all sectors together. They're meeting people that they never would have met before, who are facing the same challenges and trying to address the same issues, and they're able to learn from each other, share information, and grow together. So they will have this network for the rest of their careers and know that there are people out there that are coming from the same frame of mind about creating change.
No one can create change in isolation. We cannot do the work that we all show up to do without each other. And so it is important that we come together with a similar understanding of how we will do this work.
I would ring the bell and shout it from the rooftop. Go do this. It'll enlarge your capacity not only to do your work well, but to do you better. This training has been life-changing for me. I'll never forget this. It'll take me into my future.
All right. So what is this radical transformational leadership thing? It's been called many things here in the US and beyond. So you may have heard it as leadership for equity and opportunity, or leadership for community transformation, depending on if we're on the Central Coast or in the Bay Area. But it's all based on the same framework, which is radical transformational leadership. It's a framework that was developed by Dr. Monica Sharma, who still facilitates the program today with us. And she's the former director of leadership and capacity development for the United Nations. And I met her a decade ago. And thanks, Kaki, gotcha. Slow down. What inspired me 10 years ago and has continued to inspire me since is the fact that this program was created, this framework for leadership was created in the face of some of our most complex social issues across the world in diverse multicultural settings and was specifically created to be able to be accessed by anyone in any role, in any traditional status in our society, any education level, any literacy level, any language that's our primary language. So this work is specifically designed to empower and provide practical tools for not only our own leadership, but how we design our projects to create change and then lead those projects in our communities. And it's specifically designed to give those tools to anyone who cares deeply about social justice. It's very much a values-based program, and it's very much about changing the status quo, not keeping it in place, and about doing things differently. And what is it going to take? How do we need to lead, and how do we need to design our work differently to create the change that we seek? We have over 1,500 alumni now, as I mentioned, across the Bay Area. And participants tackle projects in a variety of issues. It's really what we call subject agnostic, meaning it can be applied to any issue area. So we have participants tackling everything from racism to youth and education, housing and homelessness, social emotional learning in schools, climate action, public health, early education, you name it. We've had folks that have worked on it in these cohorts. Specifically in Spanish, we to date have been able to host 6 cohorts now with simultaneous interpretation, and many of our interpretation team members are here. Thank you for the contributions each of you have made as well over this time to help build our capacity. So all of our interpreters are also alumni of the program. They have a deep understanding of the material, of what it takes, of the process, and how to support that in Spanish. We have well over 75 Spanish speaker participants to date. That's monolingual Spanish speakers, and many more that are bilingual as well. And we held recently our first alumni gathering, all in Spanish. So we've been working towards building our capacity to really make this work accessible in a meaningful and authentic way to Spanish speakers. And it's time for the next step. It's time for what we want to see as what we feel is the truly equitable way of moving forward, which is to create an all Spanish cohort that's authentic, and that is of, by, and for Spanish speakers. We want that to be culturally relevant and to be truly accessible. So that takes a lot. It sounds like an easy thing to leap from simultaneous interpretation in our current cohort model to an all Spanish cohort. But it's actually quite extensive what we need to do to build the capacity of a cohort of facilitators that can support one another and truly be empowered with what they need to facilitate this program on their own. Currently, Dr. Sherm of the UN still facilitates this program, and we partner with her to do that. This is a big step in now building out the curriculum and a way of training the trainer, of really handing these tools over and the facilitation that it takes to effectively bring this program to life in Spanish. So that's one step that we need to take, is train the trainer, and really empowering and building up the capacity of a cohort of Spanish speaking alumni that can help facilitate the program. Another step we need to take, very practical, is to translate and publish the book in Spanish. So Radical Transformational Leadership, Strategic Action for Social Change Agents is really the handbook for this course. It's published by Monica and has been published in languages all over the world, including French, Arabic, etc. And it's time, overdue, I would say, to have that book available in Spanish as well. So we have a team that's ready. to translate the book. We have rights from the publisher, the original publisher, signed over to us, and we're ready to take that important step towards equity to have the book available in Spanish. And then, of course, we need to pilot a cohort and really work with our Spanish-speaking community of alumni to design that cohort and have it be, again, of, by, and for Spanish speakers in our communities. So that's really what we're working toward. And I want to pause here and see if anyone has thoughts, questions, bring your voice in about the program itself. And then I'm going to invite some of our partners to share their perspective. Because one thing for me to say this, I've been working with this framework for a decade, but it's so powerful to hear from some of our alumni and other partners who've been part of this work with us. So any questions? I'll pause here and see if there's anything about the program you're curious about or questions about what we're up to so far. Right, well, if you come up with any, please put them in the chat and then we can get them as we go. So I don't want you to have to wait till some formal Q&A time later and then you lose that brilliant question. Just put it in chat and anything goes. We are definitely open and willing to share about the program. All right, so I'm going to see, let's see. I'm just going to share a couple of slides and then I'll invite our speakers to join us and I'll highlight you, spotlight you. I wanted to also just give a special shout out to the funders who have been a part of this journey so far. And not even all of them are mentioned here, but Hellman, Marin Community Foundation, RCF Connects, Sonoma Connects, Strong Funders, United Way Bay Area, United Way Monterey County, and many more have been on this journey with us, some the entire way, and have really helped shepherd this work into fruition. And we would not be where we are today without your visionary involvement in this work from the beginning, from when we couldn't even explain what it was, but we knew it was powerful and making a difference. And we've been on this trajectory, as I've mentioned, from our first cohort in Santa Cruz County, and then a Bay Area-wide effort, really going deep in Marin as well. We have over 500 alumni just in Marin alone. Monica published the book in there, and we just recently hosted our first national online cohort with over 150 people on a Zoom meeting for all 9 days of that session. It was incredible. The sessions are laid out as being the change, designing change, implementing change, and then leading change. And we really integrate being, designing, implementing, and leading throughout the whole, and feel that those are really the 4 components that are necessary for us to each individually and with our organizations design for and reach the results that we're trying to achieve. And as I mentioned, and we'll share these slides and an overview with you after this, as well as the recording. But we are really working towards building on where we've been, towards that next step of a cohort that's trained to facilitate this work, which is a big lift, and then piloting our first cohort all in Spanish, and then getting that book translated. Those are our big pieces. So I'm going to invite now our amazing colleagues to just share a little bit with us about their perspective on this work. And you'll see them here listed, and we'll start with Barbara. I'll stop share so we can spotlight Barbara and hear from you.
Great, thank you, Megan. Hello, everyone. It's really wonderful to be here. I am an alumni of RTL, and I have worked in human services for probably 30 years. I've gone through a lot of leadership programs in my career, none like RTL. In 2017, I had the fortune of participating in the Bay Area cohort, and I have to share, it was incredibly transformative on a personal level. In regard to my work, I've been in philanthropy for about half of those 30 years and started my work at the Marin Community Foundation. Really, the drive was change, as we're all here very much feeling the inequities and disparities that occur all around us and wanting to change them. This caught my attention as an opportunity to learn something new and how I might do that work. And I never thought it would have been as transformative as it was for me personally and for my work in Marin County. And so I quickly moved to this place of, oh my goodness, this needs to come to Marin. I knew there were cohorts happening, but I thought we need to get our house in order in Marin. We need to learn common language and these tools and really be able to build a base to create the change we want to see locally. And in order to do that, we needed something like RTL. We needed to be able to have this ability to create this change and this work together by using these incredible tools. So my project was to bring RTL to Marin, and I now fast forward 4 cohorts later and over 500 people. These are community organizations, administrative professionals, executive directors, philanthropists, promotores, community advocates, just social impact practitioners across the board, all using common language and tools to shift the systems and practices towards enduring social change. And we at the foundation look forward to doing more. And in supporting this opportunity for Spanish-speaking community, understanding that is what equity is, right? If we're not assuring that everyone can participate in this, then we're not doing equity. So this next iteration, this movement towards culturally appropriate offerings is just such a wonderful evolution of the work, and one that I think MCF is incredibly proud to support. So we're no longer just walking equity or talking equity, we're walking equity, right? And so the foundation also invested in evaluation and captured case studies and really wanted to understand the impact of this work. And we were so thrilled to learn that the participants, I knew personally, but the foundation as a whole, to learn that participants were gaining knowledge, values, getting clarity on values and attitudes, and engaging in action. The leadership skills and the tools they were gaining were shifting between entering and ending the program. They were building better collaborative spaces, building trust, communication, and aligning. And it's just wonderful to see the shifts that were happening. There's so many examples, but for me, living and working in this community, for me to go to a city council meeting and sit in the audience and see in action community partners and community residents using the tools and transforming how the systems and the policies were unfolding, it was and has been just incredible to witness, and not just know that X number of people went through a leadership program, the folders went on the shelf, but actually see and witness all the tools in action and people creating the systems changes and building equity and transforming. And I'll just share a quote. One of our partners that went through the program, who really took this back to his organization and transformed it completely. This is a quote from him. He said, "I really saw how we could actually create some systemic change and change the language around access to programs and equity and get parents on board. I mean, it was incredible." And so we're seeing the shift in the nonprofit organizations, the individuals, the teams, and in communities. And for the last several years, we're seeing the shifts in philanthropy, where we're doing our work differently, and we're beginning to understand. And I know for me personally, the community's at the center, right? And so understanding that investing in human capital and in the leadership in communities to really shift the paradigm and the culture is critically important. So this is where we're investing. And so this is an incredible opportunity that is being presented right now. And we know that those that are bearing the brunt of the inequities and disparities, those that deal with the impacts of everything that we're trying to change, are often not at the table, are often not included, and are often not provided the leadership development opportunities that are so needed to create this change work. And so we have an opportunity to support this and assure that every individual and organization can be included and can participate in this important work, and make sure that investments are supporting that they're targeted toward groups and populations that are probably historically not included. And so what an opportunity to do equity, right? To actually do equity. And this is what we need to do. So I mean, just to close out, this has been, for me personally, such a transformative space and place to engage around change work. And I use it every day. Every day, the tools that I use are changing how I show up personally, how I engage others and support others, and how the work is done. And this is influencing the foundation, who also many of the staff members have participated as well. And we're doing this work together. So we're shifting from talking about equity to taking concrete action. And it's by really developing these opportunities and synergistic partnerships and increasing the participation of BIPOC leaders at all levels of leadership, and really designing systems with equity at the forefront. So thank you, Megan and team, and Dr. Sharma for the incredible work. It's having a profound effect on Marin County, and we'll hear other stories too. So I'll pass it back to you, Megan. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Barbara, and thank you for your vision from the beginning for this, and for investing upfront and taking the risk and being the first funder who funded this in Spanish years ago. Thank you so much. All right. I'd love to invite Axel now, who's from Marin County and is an alumni of the program, to share about his experience.
Buenas tardes a todos. Una de las cosas que causó, digamos, después de haber tomado el entrenamiento de Leo, fue la transformación mental. Digamos, anteriormente cuando yo inicié, antes de tomar este entrenamiento, miraba muchos problemas en nuestra comunidad, muchas cosas que no entendía, no alcanzaba a mirar. El día que, en el segundo día, me recuerdo, en el segundo día del entrenamiento, cuando se hablaron de sistemas invisibles, comencé a entender muchas cosas al cual no había sido expuesto, que día a día estaba mirando, digamos, en mí mismo y en la comunidad, pero que no alcanzaba a comprender. Entonces, cuando se expandió durante este entrenamiento, entonces me di cuenta, digamos, de todos estos sistemas a los cuales, todos estos sistemas invisibles a los cuales no estaba consciente, y comencé a entender muchas cosas. Comencé también a educarme más y a identificar todos esos sistemas para poder ayudarme yo mismo a desarrollarme más, para poder encender lo que llevo dentro, que se combinara con todos mis valores, para poder, digamos, ayudar mejor a mi comunidad, pero especialmente para mí mismo, para estar más consciente. Digamos, haciendo el trabajo que hago, mi posición es de gerente de trabajo o Workforce Senior Manager. Me da la capacidad de, cada vez de que estoy creando reuniones con socios, para poderlos traer a la mesa para crear programas para nuestra comunidad, es una oportunidad siempre que yo uso para traer a la mesa la igualdad, para educar, digamos, a todas estas personas, a todos estos miembros, bien sea de diferentes, si son dueños de compañías, de corporaciones o de instituciones educativas. Entonces me da la oportunidad, digamos, para también explicarles, digamos, todo esto y para poder crear todos estos programas con intención, digamos, de igualdad y con valor, usando todos los valores universales para poder, digamos, crear un programa, digamos, que cambie y que vaya quebrando estos sistemas que estaban en lugar anteriormente. Yo pensaba que el que nosotros a veces como latinos no pudiésemos acceder a empleos que pagaran más, aunque a veces era el mismo, miraba a veces a menudo que la misma posición la tenía otra persona de otro color, de color blanco, entonces yo pensé que eso era normal. Entonces no alcanzaba a mirar muchas cosas. Ahora, digamos, hay muchas cosas digamos, que he aprendido a reconocer después de que tomé el programa de Leo. Y entonces esto me ayuda bastante a ser mejor como persona, a trabajar mi comunidad intencionalmente y a pasar toda esa información y a traer más líderes latinos. Habemos muchos que están en mi misma situación, que no alcanzamos a comprender toda esta visión y entender o mirar todos estos sistemas invisibles. Me he dado cuenta que todos nosotros tenemos diferentes grupos de habilidades que podemos, digamos, usar cuando nos reunimos en equipo para poder tener un impacto más grande en nuestra comunidad, digamos, para poder sobresalir e ir cambiando esos sistemas que han estado por generaciones. Muchas veces traemos muchas cosas que son culturales y sociales, entonces son cosas que he estado, digamos, yo mismo tratando de identificar y de crear cambios, digamos, en todo el entorno, digamos, que yo hago.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, team. This is the magic of an incredible team being able to step in when crises are happening. Thanks, Sylvia. All right. So I'm going to invite then Katie to join us from United Way Monterey County to share a little bit about their experience participating in this program. Katie.
Good afternoon, Megan, and hello, everybody. My name's Katie, and I'm really excited to be able to share with you just a little bit about our experience and my personal experience with this program. We became involved as an organization hosting the training that kind of migrated down from Santa Cruz. And I want to acknowledge it was truly a collaboration of our local funders that made it possible. Community Foundation for Monterey County, Monterey Peninsula Foundation, and our health department. I'm speaking to you today really as a funder, but even more so as a participant, and then somebody who has seen the program evolve within our community. One thing I want to just highlight, and Axel really did focus on this, but for me, one of the most interesting and unusual parts of the program was the focus on value rather than role, and the fact that we could spend so many days together with so many incredible people and never once talk about our entity that we're representing or our role or rank within the organization. And the fact that this program is on a much more personal level of how we interact with the world and how we're trying to make change on a very personal basis. So it was mentioned, but I wanted to highlight it because as somebody who's been to lots of trainings and leadership and education and so forth, it was really the first time I remember being in a room where the name tag and the organization and the affiliation was much less important than the internal person. For us as a community, it was really a wonderful opportunity to build connections across sectors. And those connections, I've seen them evolve over years, and certainly as we've had to address various challenges as a community, it's always wonderful to see some of your cohort participants showing up in different roles as you try and solve the new problem of the day, whether it's COVID or flooding or whatever. So it was important, though, to have that commitment of our local funders, both not just the dollars, but the participation. And then really a natural progression, I think, for us as a social change organization is the continuous push for inclusion and equity, and how do we make sure we are most broadly serving our community. So we, it's gone from, which partners and people do we invite that represent underserved folks, to how do we incorporate underserved folks to, and in the last few cohorts, we've seen the bilingual version, but really the next step of this natural progression is how do you make it fully Spanish, to make sure you're capturing the power and opportunity for our Spanish speaking community. We did have in the last session locally in Monterey County that was bilingual and hybrid. We had online, but then also some in-person meetings. We've done a little bit of evaluation of that. I just wanted to share out some of the the early results of that, of the 14 participants who we surveyed 6 months after the program. And we thought it was really important to kind of hear that much later, how is this program impacting you and your work? We found some very good feedback. Most of them are using the tools in their work and finding it helpful. Most of them were able to go to those in-person trainings, which again in the last year have been challenging for all, but they were truly engaged. And the other part of this program that I don't remember has been touched on yet is the idea of these pods that are formed, and having very specific and personal subgroups within the cohort of 2, 3, 4 people who meet outside of the training and continue the work. And so of this cohort of Spanish speakers, they most of them had met with their pods since the training had concluded. And really seeing some wonderful feedback from one of our partners, a community-based organization that specifically does outreach to the Spanish-speaking community and leadership development, how it's helped them even internally as an organization with their development. And so on a personal level, but also on an organizational level, and then as a community, I think this program and this focus on values and relationships and structured approach to making change is instrumental to us in the communities that we serve here in California, to make sure that we've fully incorporated the language accessibility. So those are just a few of my thoughts, and I appreciate being invited to participate. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you, Katie. Thanks so much. And it's wonderful to have Monterey's participation in that way. Thanks for the follow-up evaluation too. And if anyone's interested in additional evaluation data, we have really in-depth evaluations from our Marin cohorts, and then what Katie shared as well. So I'm happy to share that. All right, I'm going to invite Betsy, also from Monterey County, who's on the ground in action in Monterey and is an alumni of the program, to share next. And again, if you mute original audio, it may be easier to hear the interpretation. Betsy.
Gracias. Mi nombre es Betsy Tornero y mis valores son valentía, compasión e integridad, y trabajo en Mujeres en Acción. Yo entré a Mujeres en Acción en enero del 2021 Y en mayo de ese mismo año se me presentó la oportunidad de trabajar en mujeres para facilitar los grupos de apoyo. Y aunque todo era nuevo para mí, yo estaba súper entusiasmada y enamorada del concepto que era apoyarnos entre las mujeres para ser económicamente autosuficientes, para cumplir nuestras metas y también desarrollar nuestro liderazgo. Entonces me empecé a saturar de tareas y pendientes porque era muy nueva y estaba desenfocada, desorganizada, empecé a fallar, olvidaba cosas que tenía que hacer y me sentía muy abrumada y con miedo de perder el trabajo. Entonces, también por no cumplir las expectativas, comencé a dudar de mí misma, de mi capacidad. Y un día hablando con mi supervisora, pensamos que tal vez este no era mi lugar y yo también quería rendirme y quería renunciar. Entonces, RTL fue transformador para mi trabajo y mi vida en general, porque aprendí a manifestar mi capacidad interna, a anclarme a mis valores, a identificar mis miedos y a no dejar que me paralicen como antes. Ahora puedo canalizar todo eso y ponerme en acción. Entonces, con RTL comencé a hacer introspección en vez de enfocarme en los demás, a tomar mi responsabilidad, a dejar la culpa de lado. Entendí que estar abrumada es un sentimiento y no una realidad. Aprendí que está bien no saberlo todo y que puedo pedir ayuda, a vivir en integridad, a escucharme profundamente, a ser más objetiva, aceptar y dar comentarios constructivos. Comprendí el compromiso detrás de la queja y hablar con responsabilidad. Y una vez que puse todo esto en práctica, vi que no solo yo estaba viviendo toda esta transformación, sino todo el equipo. Entonces, no solo no perdí mi trabajo, sino que recibí un ascenso, un aumento de sueldo y ahora superviso a 7 mujeres. Estoy en continuo aprendizaje aplicando estas herramientas también con ellas. Y gracias a RTL vivo mi creatividad, puedo ser auténtica en mi trabajo y el crecimiento es constante. Lo más importante es que entendí que yo soy el cambio que quiero ver. Entonces RTL no solo impactó en mi trabajo, sino en mi familia, porque tengo un niño de 6 años con autismo y en la escuela del distrito no tienen maestra de educación especial, no tienen maestra de terapia ocupacional y terapia del habla. Y el distrito nunca nos informó nada, entonces para mí los primeros años son cruciales para la educación de mi niño. Entonces, con estas herramientas yo entendí que no solo estoy trabajando para crear un impacto en la educación de mi niño, sino a nivel sistemático. En este proceso he utilizado las herramientas de hablar para inspirar a otros a comprometerse, hacer solicitudes comprometidas, y yo y otras 2 mamás solicitamos una reunión con la directora de educación especial, con su supervisor directo y con la superintendente del distrito escolar. Y logramos organizar una town hall de educación especial donde asistieron miembros de la mesa directiva, más de 50 padres de familias y personal de ILAC y DILAC. Y actualmente estamos también practicando cómo enrolar aliados. Entonces, pues ha sido una gran transformación para mi vida. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Betsy. It's incredible. Thanks to each of you. And finally, we'll hear from Stacy Street at RCF Connects in Contra Costa County.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much to all of you who've shared already. I am yet again continually inspired by everything that I hear. I have just been so grateful, and actually a lot of what I have to say really aligns very clearly with everything everyone's shared, but especially what Barbara started us off with today. For me, participating in Radical Transformational Leadership Program has helped me on 3 levels. First, after working my entire career in nonprofit management and knowing my whole life, I really wanted to help people and make a difference in the world. These tools and participating in the program has really helped me identify my authentic purpose and has provided me with tools for ongoing self-transformation through required continued practice and recognizing the importance of emergence and emergent spaces, and has also given me, through the tools, a way to tangibly use my privilege, power, and resources towards that purpose. And this is an ongoing journey. I'm still in deep practice of the tools, and it continues to help me find ways to provide deeper impact. In addition, RCF Connects, our organization, has actively encouraged and supported our staff at all levels of our organization to participate in the RTL and LEO programs and cohorts. And we also used the RTL tools in partnership with Impact Launch on our strategic plan, which helped our organization develop, clarify, and confirm our shared commitment and our goals, as well as identify strategies towards those goals, which we're now implementing. And it's really exciting to see the change that's happening within our own organization. And then finally, it's providing a way for RCF to align with other organizations in our county, including nonprofit, base building, and philanthropic organizations, in a way that embodies equity, which is our core value, and is truly community driven and allows us to share power and build belonging in our county. I've participated in many cohorts myself at this point, and I have learned so much from and been continually inspired by the insights and leadership that participants share, but especially from those that have themselves been deeply impacted by all the isms that RTL is focused on disrupting and dismantling. And this includes members of RCF staff, as I said, since we have consciously been hiring Contra Costa residents for our team who understand what is needed to achieve equity in our community, as well as many colleagues and residents we work with. We recently focused on a cohort of Spanish-speaking participants from our county for the RTL Impact cohort. And these individuals were some of the most dedicated and inspiring who jumped in and were open to using the tools immediately on their own projects and in collaboration with others. I can only imagine how much more they would be able to accomplish and the impact and synergy they would create if they were truly empowered in a space that would respect and support their voices and culture. And finally, for me, to go back to what Barbara started off with, since RCF has identified a focus on leading transformational philanthropy, I see providing this program in Spanish as a key strategy to help us towards that goal, because it allows funders to walk our equity talk, and we can really shift from funding immediate needs and outputs and being siloed and fragmented to being in deep partnership and collaboration with our community, focusing on root causes and relying and empowering those that know best what is needed to shift the systems and policies and narratives to really be able to learn and practice these tools that everyone has shared really work and make a difference in a way that supports their authenticity and power. So I believe very deeply that this is an opportunity for funders to come together and tangibly collaborate and take a step forward towards that goal of transformational philanthropy. I know that many of us struggle sometimes in the funding world, knowing exactly what step we should take and how are we going to help accomplish some of these really long-term lofty goals towards equity when there is so much immediate need that needs support and funding. But this is a way for us to really move that forward and accelerate that by truly empowering and in a collective collaborative way, because you've heard how having shared foundation and learning in these tools can really speed up the changes that we want to see. So I believe very deeply that this is just a perfect opportunity for funders to be able to step into that space and start making a difference now, in our own communities. So I think that's about it for now.
Thank you so much, Stacey. It's incredible. Thanks for closing us out. And so just a couple, and thanks to each of you. It was incredible. Just a couple of words on what we need and what it's going to take. And then I just want to open it up for a few minutes of conversation before we close today. So again, as Stacey's said, and so many have reiterated in various ways, this is an incredible opportunity, a moment in time when we can walk our talk, when we can truly collaborate with community and have something that they're saying they want more of and need, and make that happen with community of, by, and for our Spanish speakers. And so our total budget, when we look at what's needed to do this and to do it right, to train a cohort of Spanish-speaking alumni who can then become train the trainers and facilitate this work on their own, to translate and self-publish the book that we have the rights to now in Spanish, and to have that translated by professional translators who are also alumni of this work and have a deep understanding of it. And then to pilot a first cohort in the Bay Area. We can use our imaginations on what that could look like. We'd love 50 plus Spanish speaking participants to be a part of that. We'd love for it to be, again, of, by, and for our Spanish speaking alumni to help us design that. Is it Bay Area? Is it beyond? We are open to co-designing that with our Spanish speaking alumni and really creating the vision that they have for this. And so our total budget for the entire project is over $300,000. And we're here asking you today to consider a few ways to get involved. Let me share my screen here. So one is obviously jump in with us, jump in with the other funders who you've heard from today. Let's think about how we can collaboratively make this happen. Is it an opportunity, a unique opportunity, a very practical here and now opportunity to collaborate regionally as a funder group? I know that there's a lot of talk about collaboration, and then yet how do we do that, as Stacey was saying, and what are the next steps, and what's the most important thing to go after? This is here. We're offering it as an opportunity to collaborate regionally, to make this happen, to have a huge impact. So fund this project, be a part of Equity in Action. Also share this opportunity with other funders that may not be here today that you feel like might be interested. We have the recording of this. We're happy to meet one-on-one. We have several funders we're going to be doing that with that couldn't be here today, that we're just having one-on-one conversations with. So happy to talk to other funders, CBOs, others that you think might be interested in this project and collaborate with them. And again, look at this as an opportunity. How could we potentially collaborate as the philanthropic community regionally for impact here? So I'm going to open it up for questions, comments, thoughts, anything that comes to mind that you would like to share or ask while you have us here. And then we can move to closing. So what are your thoughts, questions, insights?
I have a question.
You can also post them in chat. I see one question of how can I be a part of the cohort? Absolutely. So we have your emails. You'll now receive, announcements about upcoming cohorts. So as this develops, we'd love to make sure that you know about it and can be a part of it. If you'd like to help be a part of designing it and making it happen and be on a committee, we'd definitely invite you to be a part of that as well. I'll put my email in chat so everyone has a direct line to me if you have thoughts and ideas. Other questions, insights, thoughts? What are the ways to collaborate? That doesn't mean giving money. One of the big ways is to help spread the word about this and to inform other funders, CBOs who are serving Spanish speakers or who have a team of Spanish speakers as employees. So we welcome, really spreading the word about this opportunity as the cohort develops. We welcome you to help us design the cohort and to make it happen, help move it forward. Florencia, I see your hand is up, please.
Hi. First, thank you so much because we definitely I believe and I know how many of our Spanish-speaking families wanted to participate for this one, the one that we are participating currently, and couldn't because they didn't have the approval from their CEOs. Knowing that it's so important and feeling this it was really a great opportunity to participate and couldn't do that. Also because of the schedule for us Spanish-speaking families, working families, because of our different needs, individual needs, our work, so many work during the day. So when we were asking some of our families, can you participate? And when we just shared the schedule and how the schedule will work for the 4 months, it was, yeah, the schedule didn't work, especially during the day, right? So how we can engage the CEOs in a way in the conversation that can provide this opportunity for those who work in nonprofits or non-organizations, for those who don't work in nonprofit and are not connected with any nonprofits, but are still leaders in their community in their own way, talking with their community members, neighbors. We have so many promotores from heart and from the work they've been doing that would love to participate too. But again, the schedule didn't work. So how do you work with that?
Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, thanks for, you're a two-time alumni, I know, and thanks for being in the current cohort and being here today. That's exactly why we need to design this with and of and by and for our Spanish-speaking alumni, so that those of you who are on the ground and know these nuances and the unique needs of this community can help us design towards that. So our hands are not tied. Our hands are open and willing to do things differently and to really look at how we can design this to be accessible. That's the goal. So that's something that we would strategize with you on. That's our goal. So yeah, I see in chat, maybe Saturdays or evenings, totally open to looking at the format so that it's accessible to as many people as we can. Nothing works for everyone, right? Something we've also tried in the past that's worked quite well is offering stipends. So fundraising for and offering stipends for participants who need to take time off work or need childcare or other barriers, financial barriers to participation. And that has worked well in the past. Thanks, Florencia. Yeah, and then another question in chat, will we be offering Train the Trainer for alumni? Yeah, that's the idea, is that anyone who's trained, a Spanish speaker and trained to offer this program would also be an alumni. So we're really excited about that, building the capacity of our alumni. So I know we're at time. So I'm just going to offer a closing quote. And again, my email, I'll put it again in chat. We'll be reaching out with follow-ups to each of you and are hoping that you're each inspired and activated and want to be a part of this in some way and that we can work together. We'll be reaching out to find out, individually from you what that might look like. And so just to close us off, I will offer this moment of inspiration. And maybe Sylvia, after I read it, you could read it in Spanish for us. So every moment is an organizing opportunity. Every person, a potential activist, every minute, a chance to change the world, by Dolores Huerta. Sylvia. Let me end interpretation so you can join us here first. Okay.
Thank you, Megan. Can you please put that back up?
Yes.
Gracias. Cada momento es una oportunidad de organización. Cada persona, un activista potencial. Cada minuto, una oportunidad de cambiar el mundo. Dolores Huerta.
Thank you. Thank you to the team who helped make this possible. Thanks to everyone who joined us. And I'm so grateful to each of you and the contributions. And we would not be here without this community that's been built over these last several years. So really excited to connect with each of you further, and we'll be in touch very soon. Have a wonderful week. And please, those of you who are in the, atmosphere river zones, please be careful, be safe. Our thoughts are with you. Thanks, everyone.
Muchas gracias.